Okay. You ready? Sound check, Carlos Garcia, 1, 2, 3. Everyone good? Okay. Thank you all for being here. What we witnessed last night is not normal, both inside the convention center and outside. What the president should have done yesterday is come to Phoenix and say he quit, but he didn't. After Charlottesville, he came, doubled down, and solidified himself as the white supremacist president that we thought and knew he would be. What he said inside was not normal. He spent time discrediting the media for 20 minutes. He spent time saying he would shut down government if he doesn't get his wall. He spent time talking about pardoning Sheriff Arpaio. It's doing nothing but spitting in the face of the people in Arizona who have suffered through what Sheriff Arpaio has done to us. He's been booted. He's been convicted of criminal contempt. By pardoning Arpaio, not only is he erasing what he's done to our people, but he's tying himself to that legacy, to a person that's previously stated it's an honor to be called part of the KKK, to a person that's ripped mothers and parents away from their children, who's murdered people in their jails, who's been called the worst case of racial profiling the Department of Justice had ever seen. We're here today to unite against Trump, to stand against the policies he wishes to put forth. We understand legislation will be moving in the next months for his agenda to move forward. In Arizona, we've worked really hard to go away from the bigotry and the racial profiling we suffered. Got rid of Russell Pierce. Jan Brewer is no longer here. Got rid of Sheriff Arpaio. And now not only is Trump wanting to bring that back to Arizona, but spread that disease throughout the rest of the country. So we're here not only to warn the country of what this bigotry causes and the harms it will create in our communities, but also to stop Trump from spreading it throughout the rest of the country. As we united with the coalition of people I've never seen together, people from all walks of life, from Black Lives Matter, Planned Parenthood, women's groups, LGBT groups, we all came together, stood across the street, and stood up against Donald Trump. And what happened? We were terrorized, we were attacked by the Phoenix Police Department. They came in as if this was a war zone. Children, people in wheelchairs, the entire community who would come together to fight for our survival was attacked. These streets in downtown Phoenix had tanks in them, had grenades going off in the air, had riot police chasing people down the streets. None of this is normal. This president is not normal. The way the police is acting is not normal. And we're calling on anyone and everyone to answer that question. Will you stand with white supremacy or stand against it? There's no in between. There's no two sides. You're either with Donald Trump and white supremacy or you're with everyone else. Thank you all for being here. We'll have different speakers. I'll do in Spanish, and we'll also be available for individual interviews. Lo que pasó el día de ayer no es normal. Vimos a un presidente que vino a firmar una agenda de supremacía blanca. Después de lo que pasó en Charlottesville, un presidente que llegó a Phoenix a firmar, a unirse a Joe Arpaio, una persona que dijo que era un honor ser llamado como el Ku Klux Klan. Vimos una comunidad unida como nunca la habíamos visto antes. Personas de diferentes sectores, de grupos de mujeres, grupos afroamericanos, grupos pro LGBT, todos unidos contra la supremacía blanca y contra este presidente que nos quiere hacer tanto daño. ¿Y qué pasó? La policía de Phoenix nos atacó, se nos echó encima. El centro de Phoenix el día de ayer parecía una zona de guerra. Había tanques, granadas, gente vestida que iba a la guerra, correteando a nuestra comunidad. No vamos a dejar que Arizona regrese a lo que era. Hemos luchado mucho para deshacernos de Russell Pierce, Joe Arpaio y el odio que ha causado tanto sufrimiento en nuestra comunidad. Tenemos la responsabilidad no solo de pararlo aquí, pero asegurar que no pase lo que hemos sufrido aquí en el resto del país. Now I'm going to introduce Alex Gomez, co-director of Lucha. Voy a introducir a Alex Gomez, la codirectora de Lucha. Gracias.
Hello everyone, my name is Alejandra Gomez, ALEJANDRAGOMEZ, and I'm with Lucha. Yesterday we saw tens of thousands of people coming out against all of this hate politics that this administration has been spewing. We heard the president before he arrived in Arizona saying that he was going to pardon a criminal, Arpaio, that by the courts has already been deemed a criminal for all of his activities against our community, our mothers, our fathers, our children. In conversations at Lucha, we had two sisters that during the Adios Arpaio campaign, the Basta Arpaio campaign, were out there knocking, canvassing, making sure that folks were registered to vote, coming out to every protest. These sisters wanted to make sure that their mother wasn't detained and deported by this criminal Arpaio. And they were conflicted in coming yesterday because they said, why is it that when I come to this protest, I'm scared to see my president? I don't feel like that's my president when he's going to pardon a criminal, somebody that could have deported, detained my mother, and separated our family. All of the tens of thousands of protesters yesterday were sending a clear message to the President of the United States saying, we want you to follow the rule of law. Let's sit with that for a second. The community was telling a president to follow the rule of law, which he has demonstrated time and time again that he does not care what voters say, he does not care what the judicial system says. And what we're saying today is that what happened yesterday, that goes back also to the city of Phoenix officials and also the Phoenix PD. Because the way they treated peaceful protesters yesterday was disgusting, aggressive, and violent. There were mothers and children here that were running from tear gas with no warning and completely unwarranted. And we want answers for that. Ayer hubieron muchísimas personas hablando aquí y en protesta sobre un presidente que iba a venir a perdonar a un criminal. Y teníamos voluntarios que por muchos meses durante la campaña Basta Arpaio estuvieron tocando puertas, registrando votantes y diciendo, yo no quiero que este hombre criminal deporte a mi mamá o a mi papá. Y todo el trabajo que hicieron ellos, lo pudimos ver, los votantes sacaron a Arpaio, pero el presidente vino y dijo que tal vez iba a perdonar, y todavía está diciendo que tal vez va a perdonar a un criminal. Y lo que hemos visto de esta administración es de que no está siguiendo la ley, no le está poniendo atención a los votantes y no le importa la comunidad. Y está llevando a cabo una agenda supremacista, racista y de odio. Y nuestra comunidad no lo va a aceptar. Gracias.
Next we have Francisca Porta.
Buenos días. My name is Francisca Porchas, Francisca, and my last name is Porchas, P as in Paul, Orchas. I'm here today as an organizer with Puente Human Rights Movement to denounce and condemn the acts of the Phoenix Police Department yesterday and all those who are in charge of this department. It is hypocritical for the mayor of this city, Mayor Greg Stanton, to have put out a message to the public and the media yesterday morning talking about how it was not okay for Donald Trump to visit this city and fanning the flames after Charlottesville, and allow his Phoenix Police Department to abuse all the people that were protesting yesterday, to essentially create an army that occupied these streets and responded like an occupying force, shooting at people, mazing people. That is a hypocritical act of Mayor Greg Stanton and the city of Phoenix. That's what it truly means to stand up to Donald Trump. And after Charlottesville, after the violence that we saw at the hands of white supremacists and neo-Nazis, which we have in this town, this city had an opportunity to show the rest of the world and the rest of the country that it was not like Charlottesville. And it failed. It failed yesterday. Mayor Greg Stanton, you failed. Chief Jerry Williams, you failed. You failed to keep your boys in blue and your girls in blue. The Phoenix Police Department failed this city just like it has been failing it for the last decade, as it kills, as is one of the highest death rates of civilians in this entire country. So we're condemning the actions of these police department that shot at children, and that shot at elderly, and that shot at sick people, at people of color, at poor people, at all the people that came together under a banner of love and on a banner of struggle and standing up to the most reactionary forces in this city and this country. This city failed us yesterday. So we don't want any overtures from Greg Stanton telling us how he's against Trump. What we want is we want actions. And yesterday your actions showed us who you truly are. And yesterday we can see how this city of Phoenix and this police department is going to treat the movement. The people of good heart and good conscience that are going to stand up to racists in this country, to homophobics in this country. Is this how you are going to treat the movement, Mayor Greg Stanton? Is this how you're going to treat the movement, City of Phoenix? Is this what we can expect from Chief Williams for the next 3 years? This is alarming. Soy Francisca Porchas y estoy con la organización Puente. Y estoy aquí para denunciar los actos racistas de la policía de Phoenix de ayer en la noche cuando protestamos. Tuvo una oportunidad el alcalde de esta ciudad y el departamento de policía de esta ciudad después de los actos violentos racistas en la ciudad de Charlottesville, de probar que esta ciudad y este departamento de policía no son la misma basura que el resto de departamentos de policías racistas en este país. Y desafortunadamente fracasó. Fracasó el alcalde de esta ciudad, Greg Stanton, y fracasó la jefa de policía de esta ciudad. ¿Por qué? Porque esos actos de poner una declaración de parte del alcalde de esta ciudad de que estaba en contra de que viniera el presidente Trump por su racismo, es simplemente un papel que la verdad no vale nada sin los actos que verdaderamente van acompañados de esa clase de posición. Y los actos de anoche fue una guerra, fue una ocupación, fue una guerra que se deshizo y que ocupó las calles de Phoenix contra la gente de razas oprimidas, contra la gente pobre, contra las personas mayores de edad, contra las personas ancianas, niños, personas enfermas. Ese es un acto de hipocresía. Las verdaderas acciones contra Trump son el proteger a este movimiento de gente de conciencia, de gente que vino aquí a tratar de tomar una posición contra las fuerzas reaccionarias, anti gente de color, las fuerzas homofóbicas, las fuerzas sexistas que representa el presidente Trump. Una vez más estamos condenando estos actos del Departamento de Policía y esta era la oportunidad de mostrarle a todo el país cómo este Departamento de Policía no es como el resto. Una vez más, si verdaderamente quiere tomar una posición fuerte contra los actos y las palabras de Trump, esta ciudad, queremos verlo en cómo actúa y trata el movimiento. Y esto manda un mensaje de qué podemos esperar de esta ciudad y de este Departamento de Policía el resto de esta administración de Trump. Los próximos 3 años va a haber más violencia contra nosotros, va a haber más violencia contra nuestra gente. Exigimos una respuesta y una posición que va acompañada de actos. Gracias.
In order for yesterday to be successful, a lot of people did a lot of work. Behind the scenes, there was people carrying out bottles of water for hours. There was different organizing efforts that took place to make sure that everything went okay yesterday. 2 of those groups, one was a legal observer group who made sure that we were observing and making sure everything was going in accordance. The other group was a group of street medics that donated their time, brought resources to take care of our people. We want to hear from those 2 groups right now so that they could share their experiences of yesterday. And that's Antonio Bustamante, who was part of the Legal Observer team, and Amy McMullen, who was part of the Street Medic team. Antonio first.
Good morning. My name is Antonio Bustamante. I'm a lawyer here in Phoenix. My last name is spelled Bustamante. I will make my remarks in English because press conference is getting a bit long. And I will answer questions from the Spanish language media afterwards if they so wish. Voy a hablar en inglés y después si miembros de los medios en español quieren hacerme preguntas con mucho gusto. Ladies and gentlemen, last night was a great testimonial to the residents of Phoenix, Arizona, and Arizonans who came in from other cities. It was a peaceful demonstration where people wonderfully and with great enthusiasm and as proud Americans expressed their views, and they were here to demonstrate the positions and the things that have been done by a president who now holds office. And it was beautiful in the sense of a celebration of our First Amendment rights, celebrating those rights. And then the police made a mistake. As things were winding down, although there were still thousands of people around, people were leaving, going home. There were folks in cars. I mean, the crowd was getting smaller. And on Monroe Street, between 2nd and 3rd Streets, there were still people who were chanting. And on an elevated level near the building behind the crowd that was facing 3rd Street, there was a handful, maybe 15 younger folks dressed in black with black masks. Now, we've seen those kinds of folks before, they're the kinds of folks who often take a peaceful demonstration and turn it into something never intended by 99.9% of those participating. And so what these folks did was begin to throw water bottles at the police line across the street from the line of citizens on Monroe. After the 2nd or 3rd bottle, the police started shooting tear gas. I have heard reports that allegedly somebody from the protesters threw tear gas at the police. Well, I was there in the front. Nobody threw tear gas at the police. And if the police want to hang their hat on that, produce the canister, and we will all see that it was not a canister. It would not be a canister from anyone other than the police department, because some people picked up 1 or 2 canisters and tossed them back at the police line. But this idea that the people started throwing tear gas, unless the armory was vandalized, where do people get tear gas? Unless they're great chemists and made their own. So what happened after the tear gas was perhaps worse, because officers started shooting people with rubber bullets. I'm very upset with the people who started the problem, that young group of folks who wanted trouble and who started throwing the bottles and lit firecrackers that were thrown to the police. I'm upset about that because it ruined everything. But by the same token, why did the police open fire with rubber bullets? Why did they do that, knowing they were shooting at people on the front line who had done nothing, knowing that the water bottles had come from way in the back, from the building that was distant from the folks who were on the front line? Why do you shoot at innocent people? You can do better than that, Phoenix Police Department. That's terrible police work. There are other ways, proven ways, to deal with crowd control, proven ways to know how to pinpoint the source of a problem or of a disturbance and move in with adequate police presence to put a stop to it. That's all it would have taken. It was not necessary to tear gas. It was not necessary to do the rubber bullets. Rubber bullets were young people, older people were being hit by rubber bullets. No reason for it. I am equally disappointed, as I've just mentioned, with the folks who started the problem. The citizens of Phoenix and Arizona assembled peacefully, exercised their constitutional rights with great dignity, and then it was marred, but it was not helped along by the mistakes of the Phoenix Police Department. Phoenix Police Department, you just have to do a whole lot better. Thank you.
Next we'll hear from Amy McMullen with the Street Medics.
Hello, my name is Amy McMullen, A-M-Y-M-C-M-U-L-L-E-N. I'm a clinic director at the Phoenix Allies for Community Health Clinic. I'm also a street medic with the Phoenix Urban Health Collective. We set up a medic tent just down here, down the street, during this protest last night. There were a lot of people who had heat-related problems. It was a very, very hot day. We were very busy. But we were also completely shocked when we started hearing flashbang grenades going off down the street. The streets were extremely crowded. There were thousands of people here. I never heard any warnings that these were going to be deployed. It was deplorable. I mean, when you have thousands of people and you start lobbing grenades, producing tear gas, you can expect a mass stampede. We are extremely, extremely lucky that the people who were here were calm. They managed to evacuate themselves in a way that was appropriate, but we were still overwhelmed with people who had injuries from the Phoenix Police Department, with pepper balls, with beanbag grenades, with there are videos surfacing of the police department directly shooting people with tear gas canisters. These things kill people. They're not designed to be shot at people. So we have many, many, many concerns about how the police department handled this. We believe it's unconscionable. We believe from a public health safety perspective, they were out of control. So I have sent a complaint over to the Phoenix Police Department. I believe everybody else should do the same. And they need to provide better training for their officers to make sure that they know the appropriate way to respond to large crowds of protesters. They need to learn how to de-escalate, not escalate like they did. And, you know, it's just unbelievable what we saw last night after what had been a really good and peaceful protests with thousands of people on hand. And I'm very proud of the people of Phoenix, not so proud of Phoenix police right now. Thank you.
The final two speakers are Viridiana Hernandez and JJ with Black Lives Matter, who will speak about what's next and what's to come.
Hola, mi nombre es Viridiana Hernández, directora de Centro de Liderazgo. Lo que vimos ayer fue una continuación de la cultura de abuso de este departamento, que es uno de los departamentos de policía más violentos de todo el país. Esto no fue un evento que pasó una vez, no fue una coincidencia. Es algo que está pasando todos los días en nuestra comunidad y que ahora el público vio y que las cámaras vio y que todos los Estados Unidos vieron la violencia que este departamento tiene como cultura. El alcalde Greg Stanton y los líderes de esta ciudad han continuado esta violencia al no cambiar sus políticas, no cambiar sus reglas, no cambiar su protocolo y cómo ellos están trabajando con nuestra comunidad. No nos vamos a quedar en silencio. Familias, gente que estuvo allí están compartiendo sus historias. Vamos a asegurarnos que hayan consecuencias a quien hizo esta decisión. Los invitamos a todos para que vengan a la Junta el próximo jueves. Va a ser la Junta del Concilio. Es la primera vez que se va a juntar el concilio todo el verano. Entonces estamos invitando a la gente que vengan, que cuenten sus historias de lo que pasó y cómo fueron atacados. What we saw yesterday, what we saw last night is nothing new. It is a continuation of the violence and the violent culture of the Phoenix Police Department. This isn't the first time we see this, and this will not be the last. For the first time, the whole world saw how violent this department is. One of the deadliest departments in the whole country. We're not going to be silent, and we're going to make sure that there are consequences for this action. This is on the hands and the shoulders of Mayor Greg Stanton and the City of Phoenix and Chief Jerry Williams, who continue to allow the police department to constantly resort to violence and to attack our communities. We're asking our people who were attacked last night to please share their stories. There will be Google documents and Google Sheets for you all to share your story. And we're also inviting you to come to the City Council meeting next Thursday, which is the first City Council meeting this whole summer, and they will be returning back. So we're asking everyone to show up, to demand answers, and more importantly, to demand that this culture of violence in this police department, it starts to be addressed, and it's no longer being swept under the rug and talked about from Mayor Greg Stanton like this is not happening. This is happening every single day in our communities. Thank you.
My name is JJ Johnson. I'm one of the local organizers for Black Lives Matter Phoenix. We stand in solidarity with Dreamers, with the LGBTQ community, with our Native brothers and sisters. We cannot and will not tolerate the disparate violence that the City of Phoenix chose to wage on common people who came to speak out against Donald Trump. We will not stand for it. The officers that were apparently targeted were dressed in riot gear. They had helmets, they had face shields, they had ballistic body armor. They were in no danger whatsoever. They chose to use tear gas, they chose to use smoke, they chose to use baton rounds targeted at people. Yet somehow they didn't actually arrest the malefactors that caused the problem. We're not going to stand for it. Show up at the City Council, 2:30, this is the August 30th, and make your voice heard. That is how we are going to affect change. Get off your couch, push back from the keyboard, come down and talk to the people who control this police department.
August 31st. A week from today. Are there any questions? We knew this was going to happen. When the attention made public, we knew that Donald Trump was going to pardon Sheriff Arpaio. It's actually our understanding that it's a technicality that he wasn't able to do it yesterday because Arpaio is appealing his conviction. Again, what this means is he's tying himself to that same white supremacist legacy that Sheriff Arpaio ran for 24 years in Maricopa County. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Preguntas?
You had mentioned on the call a couple of days ago that you're expecting some outside groups coming in. You mentioned that a lot of local people were peaceful and didn't invoke anything. Were you surprised that some of these people started throwing water bottles and kind of it escalated from there? Were you expecting anything like that?
Not at all. And you cannot blame this on Antifa or anyone else. This was strictly the Phoenix Police Department enacting violence on the crowd. Okay?
What do you think should be the response when someone throws a water bottle to a police?
The police officers are armed. They have helmets. They have shields. An empty water bottle does not harm a police officer. They are trained to do that. Even if there were rocks or full of water bottles being thrown at police, it will not hurt them. They're trained for that. That is their job. We are not condemning anyone from their First Amendment right and what we saw yesterday. From what we saw yesterday, it was a beautiful protest of many communities coming together, standing up against Donald Trump. Okay? What Phoenix police did yesterday is take away from that. The violence that they enacted by supporting Donald Trump, which is what they did yesterday, is taking away from the message and the ridiculousness that was Donald Trump's message to the country yesterday.
Thank you. One thing, how many actions planned for if and when that Florida does?
Again, for us, it's not about the pardon. It never was about the pardon. Whether Arpaio goes to jail or not does not change the lives of our people in the community. What we need is Sheriff Panzone to get Immigration and Customs out of the 4th Avenue jail. What we need is the culture and policies of Arpaio to be removed. What we need is the Phoenix Police Department not to act worse than Arpaio ever did. And so it's not about him being convicted, pardoned or not. It's about the lives of our community and whether those policies and the culture of Arpaio continues or not.
Are you saying that if and when the Florida does come down, it won't start any protest or any other action by your group?
When the pardon comes down, which we are now certain it will, it shows more on who Donald Trump is than who we are. At this point, Sheriff Arpaio can be convicted or not. We know who Donald Trump is, and he's tying himself to a white supremacist agenda. That is our bigger problem, not Sheriff Arpaio's conviction or not. All the folks behind us, there's different organizations represented, and they're all available for comment. Thank you so much for coming.